I'm not sure whether I could walk up here or fly to be talking. It's quite an introduction. I normally, in a presentation, start off trying to recognize distinguished guests and different organizations and members, but we've already done that, and there are so many different organizations that I just don't need to do that. But I certainly appreciate each and every one of you who are attending this for this fallen brother. I probably need to qualify myself a little bit before I start. For years, I've made different presentations of different things. And I've had the old Sergeant Major's accent, and I had no emotion whatsoever. But as I've gotten older, it's gotten more difficult for me to make presentations and to do these types of things. I think it's just, more about people like Corporal McGhee. So kind of bear with me. I'll try to get through this. I've only got about, I think, about an hour and a half, and we'll be finished. Okay? First, let me say thanks, Bruce and Brian Bowen, for giving me the opportunity to come here and be part of this organization, or part of this ceremony for Corporal McGhee. I think it's just a privilege to be able to honor one of the 1/7/3 brothers who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the way we're doing today. I just think it's an honor for me to be able to do this. I did not personally know Corporal McGhee, but we were both, as he said, assigned to the 1/7/3. We were both in Vietnam at the same time, in 1967. And so while I can't talk about Corporal McGhee personally, what I'd like to do is try to give you a little history of the 1/7/3 so that you might better understand the men of the 1/7/3, men like Corporal McGhee. These are volunteers. These are patriots. These are people with a great devotion to duty. And so maybe when you knew Corporal McGhee, you knew him in high school. But Corporal McGhee was a super soldier. He was a member of the 1/7/3 Airborne Brigade 7. And the 1/7/3 has a long and distinguished history, starting in 1970. They were activated as part of the 87th Infantry. They served in France during the First World War, but did not see hardly any combat at all. They were deactivated or demobilized after the First World War. And then in the Second World War, in 1943, they were activated and attached to General George S. Patton's Third Army. Served in Europe and saw extensive combat during that time, to include the Battle of Bulge and some of the Battle of the Crossing the Line. They were again demobilized after the Second World War. And then in 1963, we like to think the greatest chapter of the 1/7/3's history started, the airborne portion of the 1/7/3. The 1/7/3 Airborne Brigade Separate was activated in Okinawa in March of 1963. And that's important to know that this is a separate organization. This was the first and only airborne brigade ever designated as separate. To be a separate brigade, you have all of your support elements attached to you. A normal brigade has 3 infantry battalions, a support battalion, and a headquarters company. The 1/7/3 had these same elements, but in addition to that, they had an artillery battalion, they had an engineer company, they had E Company or E Troop at the 17th Cav as a reconnaissance outfit, Delta Company of the 16th Armor as their armor support, and they had an aviation battalion as their aviation support. So the 1/7/3 could be deployed without support from any other unit. The mission they had when they were activated is to be a rapid deployment force for the Pacific Command. The brigade trained extensively throughout the Far East. They made mass parachute jumps in the Philippines, they made mass parachute jumps in Korea, they jumped with the Chinese nationalists in Taiwan, and this is where they got the name Sky Soldiers. The Chinese nationalists called them Tin Men, or Sky Soldiers, and that nickname stuck with it. As a footnote, there's another name that these guys recognize very well. It's a nickname for the 173rd, and that's, we call ourselves the Herd. Now, there's several stories on how the Herd started. I like the one that says the 4th Battalion commander used to wake up his troops when they were in garrison with the song Rawhide, or from the scene from Rawhide. And when his troops were massed and ready to go, he would tell his commanders to hit them up and move them out. Well, the guys from the 4th Battalion took that to heart and started calling themselves the Herd, just like the Herd Academy. Well, that carried over to the rest of the 173rd. And now, if you ask one of these gentlemen, who did you serve with? They'd probably say, well, I served with the Herd, rather than the 173rd. So, just a little humor maybe from, but that's the story I like about it. There's a couple others that go along there. The brigade was deployed to Vietnam in May of 1965. They were the first major Army ground unit to be sent to Vietnam. The 173rd had a lot of firsts. Another first, once they arrived in Vietnam, they were the first organization, the first unit to go into D-Zone. And as a side note, some of you may know the singers, Big and Rich. Big and Rich made a song about the 173rd after meeting a guy named Niles Harris while they were on tour. Niles was a member of Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, the 503rd. He was a member, he was involved in Operation Hump in November of 1965. When they learned about this operation and what took place there, they wrote a song called The 8th of November. I'll tell you a little bit about that operation. I'm not going to go into detail. The operation actually had Bravo Company and Charlie Company, the first of the 503rd, and there was an Australian infantry company, the Royal Australian Army, involved in this. They went into the southern area in D-Zone. Bravo Company and Charlie Company made an air assault by helicopter on the 5th of November. From the 5th through the 7th, they made very little contact in the area. Then on the 8th, about 0600 hours, Bravo Company and Charlie Company moved out. Bravo Company going in one direction, Charlie Company going in the other. About 0800 hours, Charlie Company, now this is a unit of less than 200 men, engaged a VC organization of about 1,200 men. Without going into detail in the battle, it was fierce. Lasted until mid-afternoon, and then it was over. And at that time, 48 paratroopers were dead, more than that wounded. Over 400 VC were dead, and more than that wounded. During that battle, a medic from the 173rd named Lawrence Joel was severely wounded. And even wounded, he refused to take care of himself. He continued to do his job, to pull wounded soldiers out of the line of fire, total disregard for his own safety. He saved many lives. was awarded the Congressional, well, I'll get it out here in a minute, the Congressional Medal of Honor. That was the first Medal of Honor awarded to the 173rd. Operation Hum was just the start of the legacy of the 173rd in Vietnam. The 173rd continued to run operations in D-Zone. They ran operations in the Iron Triangle. They ran operations all through the Central Highlands. They made the only combat jump in Canaan Province as a blocking force to stop NBA who were trying to run back into Cambodia. They were involved in some of the most severe and fierce fighting of the Vietnam War in Doc To from June of 1967 until November of 1967, culminating with taking of Hill 875, which is where Corporal McGhee fell. Additionally, they made amphibious assaults against the VC and the Bong Som area of Vietnam. All total, the brigade took part in 14 designated campaigns in Vietnam during more than 6 years of almost constant combat, from May of 1965 until August of 1971. And this is longer than any other American military unit served continuously in combat. The brigade earned 4 unit citations. They had 13 Medal of Honor winners. They had over 130 recipients of the Distinguished Service Cross and 1,736 Sky Soldiers who were awarded the Silver Star for Valor. There are 1,790 Sky Soldier names on the wall of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. Another 8,345 were wounded in action. That's over 10,000 casualties that the 173rd sustained during the time that they were in Vietnam. To put this in perspective for you, the 173rd had a maximum strength of about 3,000 men at its peak when it had an Australian infantry battalion attached to it. The casualties they suffered were more than 3 times the strength of the brigade at any given time. It's more than twice the amount of casualties sustained by the 101st Airborne Division in the Second World War, and nearly 2/3 the amount of casualties sustained by the entire 82nd Airborne Division in the Second World War. You can see, just by this brief history of the 173rd in Vietnam, that the 173rd and the men of 173rd served this country diligently, with courage, and with honor while they were there. The brigade returned to Fort Campbell in August of 1971, deactivated then in January of 1972. But to bring you up to date to where the brigade is today, they were reactivated in 2000 in Vincennes, Italy. And for 3 years, they served in Kosovo, Bosnia, Hungary, the Czech Republic. Then in March of 2003, they loaded on airplanes, flew 1,800 miles, made a combat jump